We all have emotions, right? But do we really understand what they're trying to tell us? I mean, it can often feel like we're just at their mercy, like our feelings are in control instead of the other way around. So in this explainer, we're going to decode the hidden messages behind our emotions and figure out how to make them work for us, not against us. So let's start with a pretty wild fact. Did you know that in the English language, there are over 3,000 words to describe our emotions? I mean, that's not just a bunch of vocabulary. It's like a map of our potential for this incredibly rich and diverse emotional life.
But here's the twist. Even with all those thousands of words we could use, the average person only really experiences about a dozen different emotions in a normal week. So what's going on in that gap between 3,000 and 12? It's not that we can't feel more. It's just a sign of where we've all learned to focus our attention.
And if you dig into that a little deeper, that focus gets crystal clear. You see, out of those 3,000 plus words, almost 2/3 of them are for negative emotions. That's nearly double the vocabulary we have for the good stuff. It's almost like we're hardwired, both in our language and our culture, to pay way more attention to what's going wrong. Which brings us to the big question, right? If our day-to-day emotional experience is so limited and so skewed toward the negative, what important messages are we missing? What are your emotions trying to tell you that you just aren't hearing?
Okay, here's probably the most powerful way you can change your relationship with your emotions. Ready? Stop seeing them as just feelings. They're not. Your emotions are action signals. Think of them like little alerts from your subconscious, and they're designed to get you to do something.
And the skill that lets us understand these signals, well, it's called emotional intelligence. It's that amazing ability to just pause for a second and identify what you're feeling, figure out why you're feeling it, and then see the ripple effect it has, not just on you, but on everyone around you.
And the difference is just night and day, you know? When you're emotionally intelligent, you are in control. You can use your emotions as your guide. But without that intelligence, you kind of become emotionally enslaved. Your feelings are in the driver's seat, and they often lead you to do impulsive, reactive things you almost always end up regretting later.
So you got to remember this. Every single emotion, especially the ones that feel really uncomfortable, is a call for action. It's a message. And once you learn how to read these messages, even your toughest feelings become these powerful allies for your own growth.
All right, so how do we actually decode these signals when they're happening? Let's get practical and look at some of the most common negative emotions and uncover the positive instructions that are hidden right inside. This is such a powerful shift in how you see things. Feelings like hurt or anger or fear, they aren't there to punish you. They're there to instruct you. They're like these little guides, pointing out exactly where you need to pay attention, maybe communicate a little differently, or get ready for what's coming next.
Here's a simple breakdown. So, are you feeling hurt? That's just a signal that an expectation you had wasn't met. The action signal? Communicate that expectation clearly. What about anger? Well, that tells you an important rule or a standard of yours has been violated. The action is to reevaluate that rule or figure out how you're going to uphold it. And fear? That's maybe the simplest signal of all. It just means you need to prepare for something. The action is to take smart steps to get ready. But what about those emotions that aren't just quick signals? You know, the ones that stick around for years and just weigh us down. To deal with that kind of emotional baggage, we need a totally different tool: forgiveness. And it's so important to get this. This isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing you. Yeah, forgiveness isn't something you just wait to feel. It's not a mood that just washes over you one day. No, it is an active, deliberate choice that you make for your own peace of mind. It's a decision to finally let go of that heavy burden of resentment. There's this great metaphor for this. Holding on to anger towards someone is literally like carrying that person on your back everywhere you go. Can you imagine how exhausting that is? Forgiveness is just the act of putting that weight down. So, how can you do this in a structured way? Well, this framework suggests there are 4 groups you need to forgive to really clean the slate. First, your parents, for any past mistakes. Second, any ex-partners, letting go of all the blame from past relationships. Third, well, everyone else who has hurt you. And finally, and this is almost always the hardest one, you have to forgive yourself. So, when we learn to decode our emotions in the moment, and we practice this kind of deep forgiveness, we get to the final step: taking complete, 100% ownership of our emotional lives. And this all leads to one pretty radical realization. You are the source of all your feelings. People can say things, situations can happen, but the actual emotion itself, that's generated from inside you.
Think of it this way. People and situations don't create your feelings, they just trigger what's already in there. So when someone makes you angry, what they've really done is just pushed an anger button that already existed inside you. That button and the feeling it releases, it's all yours.
So, here is a simple, super practical toolkit for the next time you feel a negative emotion coming on. Just stop and ask yourself 3 questions. First, what specifically am I feeling this about? Get really clear on it. Second, what is this feeling trying to teach me? What's the action signal here? And third, what is the absolute best way to resolve this feeling right now?
Ultimately, your emotions are always talking to you. They're a constant stream of data about your inner world, your values, and what you really need. We've spent this time learning their language. So the only question left is, are you ready to listen?